Oh, I know what I wanted to do to start us off. Listen to this, if anyone in the room didn't watch Sunday night, okay? These are 2 tweets that I want to read. Here's Jamie Erdahl. Nerdy TV observation. Greg Olsen has such authentically believable voice inflection. You feel every play through his tone, yet it's not overdone. It's just how he talks. Then Matt Miller, my friend, NFL draft scout. Greg Olsen is so good when a game gets late and it's close. His ability to match the energy of the moment and explain what teams should and shouldn't do is expert level.
Well, I appreciate that. I don't know. I don't even really know what Jamie meant. She's a great teammate. I'm actually going to call a game with her in Dublin here in a couple weeks. She's going to join our crew. I don't even know what any of that means, so I guess thank you is better than saying Olsen's voice is super annoying, so I guess I'll take it. But that was very kind, and thank you guys for having me.
I think what's interesting about what you do, we have people in our lineup today who are on-camera personalities and hosts, and for a living, they often share takes or opinions, and they want to stir things up. And that really is not what you do at all, obviously. I mean, I often say that the best commentators or game callers, you don't constantly notice them. I wouldn't say they're in the background, but I think if you're thinking too much about the people calling the game, then probably they're not doing a good job. So you see tweets like that. I mean, what do you see as your job in terms of how much people should be aware of and hearing you?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think it's something that on a week-to-week basis, we're constantly trying to strike that balance, right? How do we add to the value of the broadcast? How do we add to the value of the viewing experience for all the people sitting at home, but also not take away from the game? The game needs to be the focus. The game needs to be the priority. The game needs to be where all of the attention and all of the and all of it is directed. But then there are moments, and again, I'm biased because we all think we're so good. There are times in the game where we can add to that viewing experience, right? Whether it's with describing a situation at the end of a game or the conversation going on between the head coach and the coordinator about how to manage their timeouts or different coverage strategies. There's so many elements to the game of football that if left unsaid could be there's some uncertainty. There's an unknown aspect for the viewer, exactly what's going on at all times. But then you also can swing that pendulum really far in the other, where you are just micro dissecting every aspect of every play, every block, every catch, and then it becomes a distraction to the game. So I think I'm still learning, like when is too much, when to jump in. And I think it's more of an art than a science. It's a feel, it's game situation. You want people to come away, at least this is my goal. I want people to come away from a game that our crew calls and says, you know what, whether it's the first time I've heard that crew call a game or I listen to them every week, I want people to come away from our game saying, that game was more interesting. I learned something by the end of the game. I can't wait to tune in and watch this crew call it again. If that's what people take away, I feel like then we did our job.
There was something that happened just a few days ago that gives us a great little moment to talk about. Something small, but Fran Brown is the Syracuse football coach.
That really became a big deal. But go ahead.
Well, so for those who missed this moment, I don't know how closely you're paying attention to Syracuse football.
Okay.
There you go. They won the game, but even after a win, and it was closer than it should have been, he made the team run sprints. Greg was asked about it on a podcast or somewhere. Yeah. Greg said, I thought that was a little performative.
And then asked me if I thought it was performative. It was, the host's word was performative. I co-signed. Continue. So a little bit piggybacking off the first question. I mean, to what extent are you fine being or don't want to be in these moments where comments get bandied about and it becomes an internet moment? I don't like being a hot topic guy. Like, I am not trying to strike hot takes. I'm not trying to be the center headline trending. I don't believe that's my job. I don't enjoy that. I don't want to be in fights with people. I don't want to be in disputes with people. It's not my personality. I was shocked that random question in a segment was trending, and I thought it was a joke. Not all media people do those headlines, right? You guys are good. But I was asked whether I thought that they should be running sprints at the end of the game, and I started out by saying I think Fran's done such a good job. He's turning around Syracuse. They've become relevant in the football world and blah, 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 blah. But yeah, do I think you should be in Division I football running your kids like it's Pop Warner at the end of the game on the game field in front of everyone? It's not how I would have handled it, but Fran's done a great job. Like, that was literally the comment. I never even thought again. And then you get notified that everybody on Twitter, if they're a Syracuse fans, thinks you're a jerk. And Fran then comes out and he's asked about it. And then he says, we've never talked. And it just became a whole thing. I am going to reach out to Fran and just touch base, not publicly, but like, I don't have any issues with Fran at all.
Let's talk ball a little bit.
Can I make one quick point here?
Yes.
I know everyone's staring because I don't have socks on, and I just feel like I need to nip this in the bud. I forgot my dress socks at home, so I'm just going to sit. Now it's out in the open.
I think this is the look.
It's not the look I was going for. I opened thankfully, my lovely wife packs my suits every weekend for me, so I just opened my bag, and it's there. I'm not blaming her, but she didn't pack me socks.
Oh.
So I know everyone's thinking it, so I was just going to get ahead of it. Now I feel so much more comfortable.
Fair enough.
I can actually pick my legs up.
Fair enough. I was staring too. Let's talk NFL a little bit.
Yep.
You know, at this time last year, I think we wrote a story, and some executive from the Chiefs confirmed this, saying we want to be America's team, or we want to be America's new team. Once upon a time, people said it was the Cowboys. I'm a Patriots fan. So far this year, the Chiefs are not having the start they want. Talk a little bit about, when you called a Super Bowl in 2023, it was Chiefs-Eagles. Right now, it doesn't look like the Chiefs are going to be in the Super Bowl again.
Yeah, and I think it's early in the season, and I actually had a chance. I got to see Mahomes and Kelsey at their little restaurant opening the other night and catch up with them. And listen, the sky is falling when you're 0-2 at arguably the biggest brand in the NFL over the last couple of years, right? So that's the nature of the NFL. That's the nature of our business. What's difficult about teams like the Chiefs are you get everyone's best shot, right? You're on prime time every week. Their schedule to start the season has been two really difficult games against two difficult teams. I think internally, amongst the players and the coaches, I think their outlook for the season is drastically different than the public opinion of them. I don't think at any point right now they're panicking. I don't think at any point right now they're thinking, man, we're not the same old Chiefs. Are they perfect? No. Do they have some holes offensively that they're trying to mask right now with Mahomes and Kelsey, the weapons? Do they get Rashee Rice back? And yes, that's all real. That defense can flat out play. When you can play defense like that, you are going to give yourself a chance. And oh, by the way, you have arguably the best player in the world as your quarterback. So they're going to be in every game. They've got to find a way in these first couple weeks of the season as they're trying to get their guys back on offense to win those close games. I didn't catch much of the game because I was traveling from mine in Dallas, but you give up 20 points to the Eagles, you feel like you should win. So I think that's the part where they have to look through the score, look past the box score and say, yes, we're 0-2. We've played two good teams. We're a play here, a play there from being 1-1 against two primetime matchups, and we feel grossly different. It's a long year. You have to continue to build. But anytime you are in the spotlight like they are, every single thing you do is going to be micromanaged and microanalyzed. And that just comes with the territory when you're the Chiefs.
Real quick, I don't want to burn too much of our precious time here, but what else this season, storylines that are most exciting and interesting to you so far?
On the field, there's a ton of stuff, right? Like, I'm always fascinated between who is that next young crop of quarterbacks, right? We saw Jaden Daniels last year just have arguably, in my opinion, very close to the best rookie quarterback season maybe of all time. I mean, when you factor in where he's drafted, you get drafted in the top couple picks of the league, chances are the year before your team stinks. Unless it was a trade, unless something crazy happened, typically your team stinks. For him to take that team with a new coach, with DQ, in Washington, who hadn't won very often, what seemed like forever, to make, not only just to make the playoffs, but then to make a run and be this close to going all the way, like, that was a remarkably good season. The turnaround, the leadership, and then just his play at the quarterback position was pretty incredible. So who are those next young quarterbacks, right? We're seeing J.J. McCarthy now get his opportunity in Minnesota, been up and down, right? Caleb Williams, some of these names that we've heard out of the draft the last couple of years, who are going to be that next crop, right? When Mahomes and Josh Allen and Lamar and these guys move on in the next 3 to 5 years, who's coming in behind them? I always think that's a remarkable kind of fun story to follow in the NFL. So on the field, that's always at the top. I think the global games, like I said, I'm calling a game in Dublin in 2 weeks. I think from like the business perspective of the growth of the NFL as a whole, I think is going to be really fascinating to watch how that unfolds. I'm excited to go to Dublin to call an international game.
Do players like playing abroad? Because the number of international games is multiplying rapidly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they want to do it. I think everyone would like to do it once a week, once a year, right? Like give me 1 week per season. So in 2019, when I was with the Panthers, we played in London. And it was an incredible experience. The stadium was remarkable. The stands were full by the time we came out for warmups. Now, they had on all 32 team jerseys. I don't even think they knew who the Panthers were. But I'll tell you what, the stadium was electric. There was not an empty seat before the anthem. Pre-game, on their feet. It felt like an international soccer game, crowd and a buzz. We had an absolute blast. We played the Bucks. We won. We were there for 2.5, 3 days, our families. I really enjoyed the experience of playing overseas. I'm now equally as excited to go broadcast the game in Dublin. I've heard great things about it. The queue of people trying to buy the tickets was like 750,000, like something crazy. So I think the energy, I think the buzz, I think there's a really serious appetite for American football internationally.
Greg, how tired are you of being asked about Tom Brady?
The second you said, how tired are you? I knew exactly what you were going to ask me. Listen, I'm not tired of it. I don't shy away from it. You guys know that. We've talked about it on your platform. And I try to be like unequivocally clear. This goes back to like headlines. No matter what I say right now, someone, there is going to be an article, and frankly, that's okay. I get it. That comes with the territory. I have been very clear. In the last, call it 2 years, since Tom came to Fox, me and him had a professional relationship as just players. We played against each other, gotten to know each other minimally. I have genuinely enjoyed getting to know Tom on a personal level over the last 2 years. And in the beginning, our conversations when he first came on were about broadcasting and about preparation and notes and, just comparing and contrasting the transition from playing to the booth. Our conversations now are about parenting and raising teenage daughters and the status of the NFL. Like, we've formed a genuine personal relationship that I value. We're both ultra competitive guys. No different than when I was in the locker room. Every year, the young tight end that they drafted, they were trying to give him my spot. And Tom, obviously, in his journey, has been on all sides of that. So, you can be competitive in your environment, and I can still seek to go out and reach the highest levels of this profession. And in no means does that mean I want it to be at the expense of Tom. And Tom wants to continue to ascend and achieve everything he wants. That doesn't have to come at the expense of me. Like, my success is not contingent upon Tom's failure and vice versa. So I'm thankful for Fox. They believed in me from the very first time I was still playing, calling 3-man boots on my bye week in 2017, 3 years before I retired, because Fox gave me that opportunity. So I want to be very crystal clear. Do I want to call top games? Of course. And Eric Shanks and Brad Zager, if I didn't want to do that, they should fire me. Why do you want a guy? That's like saying I got a guy who's just content being the backup quarterback. Then he shouldn't be your backup quarterback. We all have aspirations to be as good as we possibly can, or else we're wasting our time. That's how I approach it. Tom and I's personal and professional relationship and my relationship with Fox could not be healthier and could not be better.
A Brady question for you that has nothing to do with you as a broadcaster, but just last night, Brady was in the coaches booth with the Raiders. Brady is a part owner, 5% of the Raiders. I asked you and I've asked others about whether there's any conflict here. They had the Brady rules last season. This season, they've relaxed those rules. He can join the meetings remotely with players and coaches. It feels like not until last night when he was shown in the coaches booth did a lot of people on Twitter wake up to, wait a minute, this is interesting. He's a part owner of the Raiders, but he's calling games and he's meeting with players and coaches about their play calling. What do you make of all that?
Listen, I'd take 5% of any team in the NFL if anybody wants to get. So, I'm not hating on Brady. If I had the money to own one of the teams, I would too. So, I'm not a hater. I say more power to him. And if I'm the Raiders and I have a minority owner like Tom Brady, who I have access to, and he has the experience, and I can pick his brain, you would be silly not to. Why would you not rely on him? Why would you not, if you're Chip Kelly, why would you not, hey, this is a little wrinkle that I'm trying to figure out pass protection wise. It could be something so small. What better resource than someone who's both financially obligated to the success of the organization and has 20 plus years of top line experience? Why would you not pick his brain? Why would you not utilize every resource and every aspect of your organization to try to find that slight margin to be the difference between winning and losing a game? So from the Raiders' perspective, I don't blame them for using Tom. From Tom's perspective, obviously all of us would love to be an owner of an NFL team. How the other teams handle it is up to them. There are some teams that are very guarded with their information. And it doesn't matter if you're an owner of another team or not. Like, they give you very little on the calls. It's the minority. The vast majority of the coaches, especially the ones that you develop a good relationship with, are amazing on these calls. They really give you great insight that does make a difference. So how these teams handle their own personal meetings, that's up to them. They have to make decisions on how they want to handle their production meetings with me, with Tom, with Troy Aikman, whoever. Every team can decide how they want to handle those, and whatever factors they place value on that impacts how they handle them, that's in their every right to be as forthcoming or not so with the production crews that they want. And they have every right, just like everyone else has the right to part, so do the other teams, and let them handle it how they want.
More power to him. There's your soundbite.
More power to him. I don't blame him. I'll take 5%. If anyone's giving, I'm in.
I appreciate that you say, I want to call big games. I want to call another Super Bowl. You called the Super Bowl in 2023. We've got your boss backstage coming up in 2 slots from now, Eric Shanks. Might the place to do that be somewhere other than Fox in the near future? You look around, there's streamers that are showing games. Could an Amazon get a Super Bowl in our lifetime? I could see it. Do you look at your next step and think, I need to go somewhere where I could potentially call a Super Bowl again?
No, I don't think right now it would be fair to myself. Again, I look at this like I did as a player. There's so many aspects of calling games and being in the booth, both from the preparation component to the uncertainties once the ball's kicked off and the unpredictability of the game. No different than as a player. You practiced all week long, the ball was kicked off, and every play that you practiced all week, none of them worked, and you scrap it and you move on to something else. The same thing
You get punched.
Yeah, the same thing happens in the broadcast booth. We think we know how these games are going to go, and the next thing you know, Russell Wilson throws for 440 yards and they score 40 points. No one in a million years thought the Giants' offense, but we got to call the game that's being played, and that was 2 days ago. So the relationship between the playing lessons and the broadcast lessons are very similar. So the same thing here. I have no idea what the future holds. I have no idea what the future both within the Fox network and all the other players in the industry are. I don't pretend to be an expert in this world. I don't pretend to follow every single breaking news. I'm sorry. You guys do a great job. But I try not to live and die with the ups and downs and the nature of this industry, because it could really drive you crazy. My number one focus is, when I call a game on Sundays, my goal is I want to be the best guy, and I want to be the most interesting, and I want to bring the most value to a broadcast. If that's a 1:00 game on a network, whatever that is, I get my game, and I'm going to go do it to the best of my ability. How the networks shake out and how the streamers shake out and how the packages unfold and the opt-outs and all the stuff that you guys are going to cover very well and very detailed over the next 5 years, 4 years, it will all shake out. The best thing I can do is be as good as humanly possible and reach my potential. How people perceive me, how people value that, how people compare you to other people in other positions, I don't control that. That is just not worth my energy and really not worth my time, and is just a monster distraction. So as hard as that is, I try to stay singularly focused on just being me, calling games, doing what I've done now for a couple years. And I'm really confident that if I do that, everything else will take care of itself.
Love that ethos. You called the Netflix Christmas Day game. What is it like? We also have Noah and Inigo later today. They were on that game. What is it like calling a game on a streamer, especially one that has only just started doing them, versus Fox that's been doing it for years?
Yeah, so what was unique about that experience is, and again, I've been very fortunate. I'm the first to say, I think I said this, and this was one of the positive headlines that kind of got some buzz. There's no such thing as a really good color analyst unless you work with a fantastic play-by-play. It is not a mystery that the so-called best color guys have always had incredible play-by-play analysts standing next to them running the show. And that's been my experience my entire life. So my first ever partner in the industry was Kevin Burkhardt. He is remarkably good. Now I'm calling games with Joe Davis in between him being the voice of the Dodgers and calling World Series baseball. He's very good. I've done a game with Noah Eagle, the one you're referencing last year, obviously super talented. And Adam Amin. Like, I can go on and on about the partners that I've had that have made me look better probably at times than I deserve. So what was unique about that game was the individual talent of all the people that were put together to call it were very good, right? Noah, it was a good production crew that called the top college game at CBS. Myself, Jamie Erdahl, like, it was a great cast. We met each other for the first time in person the night before the game. We had never seen each other. We had never met each other. We had never talked in person until less than 24 hours before the ball was kicked off. So again, you talk about really good learning lessons and some stuff going on behind the scenes. How I do telestrator and how I communicate with the truck was a real-time lesson with me and my producer, Craig, like, as the game's unfolding. We didn't get a test run. We didn't get hey, we're going to ease into this and in 5 weeks you're going to be good at it. It was national TV, Christmas Day, balls kicked off and go. And oh, by the way, it was like 100-0. It was the least competitive game maybe I've ever called in the NFL in my life.
Not Netflix's fault, but...
No one's, it was the Texans' fault, I guess. But it wasn't our fault. The Ravens were just really good that day, and the Texans really struggled, and the game was a blowout, which is a nightmare scenario for the booth. So I look back on that as a really fond experience. We were excited to do it. I'd say the biggest difference was you're not with your crew. You're not with the people you know. You're not relying on any past shared experiences, because every experience that you're making is the first time in real time in the moment. And oh, by the way, you're on live television.
Greg, I want to make sure we talk about youth sports and your company, Youth Inc., not just because it's a cause you care about, but also this has become big news. I mean, private equity has gotten into youth sports at that level. You know, I live in a town, New Canaan, Connecticut, where people start specializing their kids in a certain sport at like 3 or 4. I mean,
it's too late. They're way behind. You've got to have the tennis racket in the crib at birth. So Connecticut needs to get their shit together.
I have a 2-year-old daughter. I'm thinking about this. I mean, but in seriousness, it has gotten crazy, right?
Oh, how much time do we have? 2 minutes and 15 seconds is not enough. Yeah, so listen. So my journey in the youth sports thing, hence why we started Youth Inc., our media commerce business about 2-3 weeks ago, was here's a guy, grew up in North Jersey, not far from here, right outside the tunnel in North Jersey. My dad was the prototypical local high school football coach. He was a teacher, then an administrator. He coached football in North Jersey for 40 years. It's all we ever did. I had all boys, all brothers. We grew up, all of us played in college football. I grew up in locker rooms, grew up on buses, our summer vacation was going to football camp at Rutgers and Penn State and sleeping on the floor in the dorms. Like, that's all we ever knew. And then full circle, I make a career out of it after college. I play in the league for whatever. And now I'm raising 3 young kids. I've got 2 sons and a daughter. They're all middle school teenagers. And my wife and I are laying in bed at night saying, like, I don't recognize this. This is not what I'm used to. And here's somebody I've made my whole life doing this. And I had the realization, like, you know what? If I'm having so many sleepless nights, and if I'm having so many questions about what's too much, what's not enough, what's too early, specialization, what are they doing? What are the Joneses doing down the street? I know there's millions of other people that are having these exact same conversations over dinner, at nights out, on date night. And we set out to have those conversations through our content of Youth Inc. We've having some really Tom Brady was my first interview. We've had Malcolm Gladwell. I had Ryan Day. Today, everyone pull out your phone, subscribe, Youth Inc. Missy Franklin, whose story is remarkable. She took the world by storm in her first Olympics at 17 years old. And then her next 4-year journey to not even qualifying for a finals in the next Olympics. Just a remarkable story about burnout and specialization and the mental health of sports, and so many really cool conversations that I'm very passionate about, as you can probably tell. And 6 days a week, I'm coaching my daughter's basketball team or my son's football team at the middle school. baseball, travel like we live this every day, and I don't pretend to have all the answers, but our goal is to go out and talk to people and their perspectives, try to help answer some of those questions.
Craig, this has been awesome. Just terrific. Let's end on this. What do you want to achieve in 5 to 10 years off the field? We talked about youth sports in your company, talked about broadcasting. Right now, a big topic for us at FOS that's such a fascination is ownership. And we talked about it with Brady, right? But suddenly right now, every current or former pro athlete or actor or celebrity is buying a stake in a sports team. Can we see you become an owner?
Well, I mean, I don't know if anyone's checked the valuations and how much you make to play tight end. I think you guys ran some of my salary issues the last couple of years. So, listen, I'm not going to sit here and like lie to myself or all of you. Like, there are very few people in the world that can afford to buy into professional sports teams. I think Eric's here. If Shanks wants to give me a raise, I'll take it. And me and Tom can be partners in electric boat racing. You know, like he's got 100 teams that he's got going. That sounds wonderful. I love being part of a team. I love the quest of achieving something greater than yourself. I think that's what's been so cool for me working at Fox and working with my crew the last couple years is like, that's the element when you're done playing. You hear every former athlete say, like, what do you miss the most? It's not like, oh, I love scoring touchdowns, the catches. It's like, I love in the locker room working with a bunch of people towards a common goal and giving more of yourself to the group than you're asking in return. And if you do that, all of us will benefit. Well, it's the exact same thing on TV, right? So I love on Sundays going and say, hey, how can I make Joe Davis how can I make his job as easy as possible? Because I know that's the only thing he's thinking of. And Pam Oliver, like, how do we continue to highlight Pam Oliver and prop her up on a pedestal that she deserves and give her all the love and all the accolades? She's going to the Hall of Fame. Like, how do we serve Pam Oliver on Sunday to make her look as good as humanly possible, right? So like the notion of being a team, it's what's driving all these really rich guys to buy into these organizations because it's less about the money. It's less, yes, there is a financial.
Well, it's also about the money.
It is, but for a lot of these guys, it's the idea that I can be a part of something, I can move, I have something to bring to the table to elevate it for all of us. And yes, in return, the more success I bring to that team, yes, the financial windfall becomes greater for all of us. But there is something so special that everyone craves, which is team fellowship, that camaraderie that comes with it. And when you're no longer playing, TV, ownership, coaching, for a lot of us, this is all we've ever done. It's kind of all we got. So like everyone's trying to hang on to that as long as they can. I'm no different. Tom's no different. I think that's why you see so many people entering into the ownership space because they crave that. And I don't blame them because I do too.
Great stuff. Can we give Greg a round of applause?
Yeah. Thank you.
Excellent.
Appreciate it. Yeah.